Hello, everyone, and welcome back to CityChat, where we explore the English language as you take a trip around the USA. So, Marcus, did you see the latest report? Washington State is now the #1 place people are moving to Boise from, passing California.
Great. More folks trading rain for mountains. I hope they realize the hidden gem has been found, Sarah. Boise isn't so hidden anymore.
Right, exactly. Wait, let me explain that term for our listeners who might be learning English. When Marcus says hidden gem, he means a place that's really great, but not many people know about it yet.
Exactly. And now the secret is out. That means too many people have discovered our good thing.
But Marcus, isn't growth exciting? I mean, look at what's happening with Micron's expansion. We're talking about thousands of new jobs, billions in investment. People are calling Boise the next Seattle, minus the rain.
That's what worries me. Seattleite, right? But what happens to the people who've been here for generations?
I get that concern, I really do. But think about the opportunities this brings. I mean, we're seeing what economists call domestic migration. That's when people move from one state to another within the same country.
Right.
And it's driven by remote work flexibility. People can keep their Seattle or Bay Area salaries, but live where their money goes further. At least, that's the theory.
That's exactly the problem, Sarah. These folks come in with those big city salaries, and suddenly a house that used to cost $200,000 is going for $500,000. You know what happened to my neighbor who works at the dairy plant outside Caldwell?
What happened?
Rent went from $800 to $1,500 in 2 years. Same apartment, same smell from the dairy processing, but now it's marketed as rural charm with urban access. He had to move in with his parents at 42 years old.
Oh, wow, that's really tough. But Marcus, you have to admit there are success stories too. I mean, I moved here from Portland 2 years ago, and I found a great community. I'm contributing to local businesses, I volunteer with the food bank.
And I appreciate that. I really do. You're one of the good ones. But for every person like you, there are 10 others who just see Boise as a cheaper version of where they came from.
Actually, let me share something that might surprise you. I was talking to my real estate agent last month, and she explained something called market absorption rate. That's how quickly new homes or rental units get filled in a market.
Okay, yeah, break that down for our listeners.
So imagine you have 100 new apartments built in Meridian. If 90 of them get rented within 3 months, that's a 90% absorption rate. High absorption means high demand.
Right, exactly. And Boise's absorption rate is through the roof. But Sarah, here's what that means for regular folks. If demand is that high, prices keep climbing. My buddy who's a teacher, he's been looking for a place for 8 months. 8 months! And every time he finds something in his budget, it gets snatched up by someone willing to pay 6 months up front.
That's heartbreaking. I mean, teachers are essential workers.
They are, but they can't compete with remote workers making tech salaries. It's creating this situation where the people who actually serve our community, teachers, firefighters, healthcare workers, they can't afford to live here anymore.
You know what? This reminds me of a conversation I had with my coworker last week. She's originally from Boise, moved away for college, and now she's trying to move back to be closer to her aging parents, but she literally cannot afford to live in her hometown anymore.
That's the thing that really gets me. We're pricing out our own kids. People who grew up here, went to Bora High School or Capital, they can't come back because housing costs have exploded faster than local wages.
And for our listeners learning English, when we say people can't make ends meet, we mean they don't have enough money to pay for their basic expenses, like rent, food, and utilities.
Exactly. And when something's out of reach, that means it's too expensive for you to afford. A lot of housing here has become out of reach for people earning local wages.
But Marcus, I have to push back a little here. Yes, housing costs have risen dramatically, but wages are also increasing. I mean, with companies like Micron expanding, with more tech companies setting up satellite offices here. The job market is diversifying beyond agriculture and manufacturing. That has to count for something, right?
Sure, but those benefits aren't reaching everyone equally. Take the area around the Simplot plant. Housing costs there have doubled, but the workers inside that plant aren't seeing their paychecks double. They're getting squeezed out by people who work remotely for companies based in expensive cities.
That's a fair point. I hadn't thought about the geographic inequality within the valley itself.
And here's another thing that bugs me. People move here and immediately start complaining about what's missing. Where's the good sushi? Why is there only one light rail line? How come the airport is so small? Well, you moved to Idaho, not Manhattan.
Okay, I'm going to be totally honest here. When I first moved to Boise, I definitely had some of those thoughts. Coming from Portland, I was used to having 3 coffee shops on every block and being able to take public transit everywhere.
Right, exactly.
But you know what I discovered? There's something to be said for the pace of life here. In Portland, I was always rushing from one thing to another. Here, people actually make eye contact. They say hello. My neighbor brought me soup when I was sick, and I'd lived there for 3 weeks.
That's the Boise I grew up with. That's what we're afraid of losing. When my dad had his heart attack in 2019, the whole neighborhood showed up. People he barely knew were mowing our lawn, bringing casseroles, offering to drive him to appointments.
That's beautiful, and that community spirit is still here, Marcus. Maybe it looks a little different as the city grows, but it's not gone.
I hope you're right, but when apartment complexes start charging application fees just to look at a place, when landlords require credit scores that most working people don't have, it changes the character of who can live here.
You're absolutely right about that. The rental market has become really challenging. But let's talk about what people are getting when they do make the move here. I mean, where else can you be in downtown for dinner and hiking in the foothills 30 minutes later?
Oh, don't get me wrong, the outdoor access is incredible. Bogus Basin for skiing, the Boise River for floating, hiking trails everywhere. If you love that lifestyle, it's paradise.
Exactly. And the cost of activities here compared to Colorado or Utah, it's still reasonable. A day pass at Bogus Basin costs less than lunch at some Vail restaurants.
True, but here's the catch. And this is something newcomers don't always realize until they've been through a winter here. We get these things called inversion layers.
Oh, can you explain that? I've heard the term, but I'm not sure everyone knows what it means.
Sure. So normally warm air rises and cold air sinks, right? But during an inversion, a layer of warm air gets trapped above cold air. In Boise, this happens when cold air settles in the valley and warm air sits on top like a lid.
And what does that mean practically?
It means all the pollution, car exhaust, and wood smoke from fireplaces gets trapped down here with us, sometimes for days or even weeks. The air quality becomes terrible, and you wake up to this thick brown haze covering the whole valley.
I experienced my first inversion last winter, and Marcus is not exaggerating. I couldn't see the mountains for almost 2 weeks. It felt like living inside a snow globe filled with smog instead of snow.
And it's getting worse as more people move here. More cars, more houses with fireplaces, more everything contributing to the pollution that gets trapped.
But let's be real about transportation for a minute. You mentioned earlier that people complain about public transit. The truth is, you really do need a car here. Valley Regional Transit exists, but it's pretty limited compared to what people from bigger cities are used to.
It's a work in progress. And for our English learners, when we say something is a work in progress, we mean it's not finished yet and still being improved.
Right. So if you're used to being able to get around without a car, Boise might feel isolating. I have a friend who moved here from San Francisco, and she felt trapped in her apartment for the first few months because she didn't want to buy a car.
That's where the grass is always greener mentality kicks in. That phrase means thinking another place is better than where you currently are. People come here thinking they'll get all the benefits of a smaller city with none of the drawbacks. But every place has trade-offs.
Exactly. Like, I miss having a late night food scene. In Portland, you could get amazing tacos at 2 a.m. Here, most restaurants close by 9 p.m., even on weekends.
But is that necessarily bad? I mean, people here value work-life balance. Restaurant workers get to go home to their families instead of working until 3 a.m.
That's a really good point. There's something to be said for a city where people prioritize family time over the hustle culture.
And here's something I bet a lot of transplants don't think about: the social dynamics. Boise still feels like a big, small town in many ways. People know each other, they have history together. When you're new, it can take time to break into those established social circles.
I felt that. For the first year, I met people through work or activities, but it took a while to develop deeper friendships. People weren't unfriendly, but there was definitely a feeling of being the outsider.
It's not personal. It's just that when you've grown up somewhere, went to high school with people, your social networks are pretty established by the time you're an adult.
But once you do break through, the friendships feel more genuine somehow. People here seem to value loyalty and consistency over networking and career advancement.
So let me ask you this, Sarah. Knowing what you know now, having lived through a winter with the inversions, dealing with the car dependency, experiencing the social adjustment, would you still make the move?
Absolutely, but with different expectations. I think that's key for anyone considering the move. Boise isn't a smaller, cheaper version of Seattle or San Francisco. It's its own place with its own character.
That's what I hope people understand. If you're looking for urban amenities and cultural diversity, you might be disappointed. If you want community, outdoor access, and a slower pace of life, you'll probably love it.
And if you do move here, please engage with the community that already exists. Don't just try to recreate what you left behind. Learn about the local history, support local businesses, get to know your neighbors.
That's the key. Integration, not colonization. We want people who will add to what we have, not replace what we have.
So, our final verdict? Marcus, is Boise worth it for someone considering the move?
If you want community and nature, absolutely. If you want bustling city life with endless entertainment options, you might feel trapped. But come with realistic expectations and a willingness to be part of something, not just consume it.
And remember, whether you're a newcomer or a longtime resident, we're all figuring out how to grow together without losing what makes this place special. That's the real Treasure Valley shift. Join us next time on City Chat as we explore another city in the great United States of America.